dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky. This is WYMT Mountain News at 11.
Good evening, I'm Keaton Hall. We start tonight in Harlan County, where one man died following a brush fire. The fire happened Friday afternoon in the Baxter community. The Harlan County coroner was able to confirm with us that 77-year-old Bill Ellis died while trying to battle the fire outside his home. His exact cause of death is unknown at this time. Ellis was a popular local broadcaster and he retired in 2019. Kentucky State Police are investigating the incident. Newswoman and interviewer Barbara Walters has died at 93 years old. Walters joined ABC News in 1976, becoming the first female anchor ever on an evening news program. 3 years later, she became the co-host of 2020 and went on to launch The View in 1997. She was known for her legendary interviews of world leaders and celebrities, which won her 12 Emmy Awards over her career. Her 5 decades in broadcasting paved the way for women in media. According to a statement, Walters passed away peacefully in her home, surrounded by loved ones. An explosion and fire were reported at a Big Stone Gap apartment complex on Friday. Officials responded to the 4-unit complex located on Wyandotte Avenue across from PV National Bank. Fire department officials say there was no one inside the apartment building during the fire. A fire official said there was a propane heater and propane tanks found inside the apartment. A threat of explosives forced the Wise County Dispatch to temporarily move their dispatch center to a new location. Police say they received a call around 3:30 p.m. Friday saying explosives had been placed at the courthouse and the Justice Center. Officials initially said there was no evidence to suggest the threat was legitimate, but they still took it seriously. In an update on their Facebook page, Wise County Sheriff's Department said their dispatch center was back to its regular operations. They did not mention if there were any suspects. A break in the case that shocked the nation. A suspect has been arrested and is being held without bail in Monroe County, Pennsylvania for the November murders of 4 University of Idaho students. Investigators sorted through more than 19,000 tips before making the arrest. Danya Backus has the latest from Moscow, Idaho.
Detectives arrested 28-year-old Brian Christopher Kohlberger in Albrightsville, Pennsylvania, on a warrant for murders of Ethan, Zana, Madison, and Kaylee.
The suspect is charged with 4 counts of first-degree murder and felony burglary. He was apprehended at his parents' home early Friday morning, more than 2,500 miles from the murder scene.
This is the first bit of joy that we've had in close to 7 weeks. We hope that they picked the right guy, and that gives us hope, and we haven't had hope for a long time.
Roommates Kaylee Gonzalez, Madison Mogen, Ethan Chapin, and Xana Kernodle were stabbed multiple times as they slept inside their rental home near the University of Idaho campus. CBS News has learned forensic analysis allegedly linked the suspect to the crime scene in Moscow, Idaho. Police say they have not located the murder weapon, but have found the Hyundai Elantra that was spotted near the murder scene. And they won't say whether the suspect and victims knew each other. University of Idaho President Scott Green says there's finally a feeling of relief on his campus.
We never lost faith that this case would be solved and are grateful for the hard work of the Moscow Police Department and their law enforcement partners.
Kohlberger is a PhD criminology student at Washington State University. He lived about 10 minutes from the victims, just over the state line in Pullman, Washington. Danya Backus, CBS News, Moscow, Idaho.
The suspect is expected back in court Tuesday in Pennsylvania for extradition proceedings.
Well, quiet weather continues across the mountains tonight, but that is going to change as early as tomorrow. Here's a live look right now over at the London Corbin Airport, looking at quiet conditions back in the distance. Current temperature 53 degrees, and many of us still in the upper 50s, a few lower 60s as well. 61 for Moorhead, 59 for Jackson and Prestonsburg, 54 for Clintwood, and 53 over in London. So not too bad out there, very comfortable as you go through the rest of your Friday. The good news, most of us are dry, but notice back to the south and west, more showers over portions of central and western Kentucky, and these are moving off into our direction. So a few more showers are possible as we go later on tonight, and we could see a few more showers as you wake up on Saturday as well. Overnight lows falling into the upper 40s, and again, a few showers are possible tonight. It's not going to rain all night, but a few are going to be possible. Let's go through future view as you wake up on your New Year's Eve. Maybe a few showers, temperatures in the middle to lower 50s. We do warm up once again into the upper 50s and lower 60s on your Saturday. But notice, by the time we get towards the late morning and early afternoon, more widespread showers are likely, and some of those could be a little bit heavy in some places. The good news, we're not expecting any severe weather, but look what happens as we get into Saturday night. Around midnight, once the clock hits midnight, most of the rain off to the east. So if you have any plans tomorrow night, we do look to be in pretty good shape as most of the rain will be out of here by New Year's Eve night. So if you have any plans, temperatures are going to fall into the upper 40s. Again, we stay cloudy, maybe a small chance of a stray shower, but most of us are going to be dry by the time we hit midnight and 2023. Those rain chances are going to increase on your New Year's Eve, a little bit of a break by New Year's Day, and they are back by the middle of next week. Here is a look at your 7-day forecast where the weekend is always in view. Showers are likely on New Year's Eve, lower 60s once again on Sunday. A little bit of a break by Monday. Showers are likely Monday night into the middle of the week, and we're cooler by this time next week. Highs in the lower 40s, lows in the lower 30s. Keaton.
Thank you, Cameron. While the holiday season is a time for celebration and family gatherings for some, others find it to be the hardest time of the year. Addiction recovery groups point toward holiday as times where people relapse, where their relapse occurs the most. Substance abuse specialist Chad Clemens says although relapse can happen at any times, holidays can be dark reminders.
People who don't have family a lot of times end up getting depressed, and that leads them to use because they want to feel better and not feel bad. And they think if they're high, they don't feel bad.
Clemens said his groups plan on extra checkups to ensure everyone is still on track with their recovery process. Preparations are well underway in New York City for the first full-capacity New Year's Eve party since the start of the pandemic. In Times Square Friday, the iconic ball got put to the test. All systems were go for a dress rehearsal to test all 12,000 pounds of it with 2,700 Waterford crystals and 30,000 LED lights. The NYPD is preparing for the crowds and says there are no active security threats.
We'll have a full deployment of explosive detection K-9 teams, heavy weapons teams, drone detection. We'll have the bomb squad present.
Police will start shutting down streets at 4 a.m. Saturday, and revelers can start taking their place a full 9 hours before midnight. The flu hit harder and faster this season than normal, but it now appears to be on the decline. According to new CDC data, hospital admissions for influenza last week dropped nationwide for the third week in a row. Almost 19,000 people were hospitalized with the flu last week, down from a season high of more than 26,000 the week after Thanksgiving. The numbers do not yet include data on flu activity following the holiday. The CDC estimates that as of last week, there have been at least 13,000 deaths from the flu this season. Newly publicized tax returns cover the personal and business finances of former President Donald Trump from 2015 to 2020. Trump paid only $750 in federal taxes in 2016 and 2017. In 2020, he didn't pay anything after reporting 150 of his business entities listed negative qualified business income. That, combined with losses from previous years, allowed Trump to report $58 million in losses during his final term in office. Earlier this month, the Trump Organization was found guilty of criminal tax fraud, but Trump has not been personally charged with any tax crimes.
He's being investigated, as we know, by the New York State Attorney General in this $250 million lawsuit. And there are questions about whether or not, some of the losses that he declared were fraudulent.
In a fundraising video, Trump defended his company and criticized Democrats in Congress for releasing the tax returns he fought for years to keep private. The Mega Millions jackpot has exceeded $500 million. Someone could win an estimated $645 million Friday night. While that may seem like small potatoes compared to the $1.3 billion jackpot earlier this year, it's still historically pretty huge. It's the 6th largest Mega Millions pot ever and the largest for the final week of the year. Of course, if no one wins, it keeps getting bigger, but that also means it's going to cross over into next year. Well, thank you for joining us tonight. John Lowe and Courtney Lane Brew will have highlights and scores from across the coverage area. John Lowe will join us from Nashville ahead of Kentucky's Music City Bowl matchup against Iowa. Appalachian Wireless Sports Overtime is coming your way right after this break.